Okay, so I'm gonna make cowboy beans, and basically this is one of those recipes where I don't ever make it the same way twice because I basically just use whatever we have. So I've got leftover hamburgers and hot dogs over here because we had a 4-H party and those were the leftovers. So I'm gonna use that for the meat in these. But cowboy beans is basically just fancied up baked beans with extra stuff in it. So I'm gonna do a can of baked beans, Bush's baked beans, corn. I've got diced tomatoes, and then that was a can of chili beans too that I had in the cupboard. So I'm gonna throw it in also. A diced onion, and I'm going to take my onion and my meat, and I'm gonna chop it up, and I'm gonna put it over in the cast iron, and just kind of saute it up, heat it up a little bit first before I put all that in the crock pot. But I'm gonna go ahead and add all the cans into the crock pot. There's going to be a lot of pausing in this one because the baby wants to be held constantly right now. But in his defense, it is really cold. That's why we're doing a crock pot meal. So it'll be nice and warm. So I'm going to pause and put everything in the cans in the crock pot. Alright, all of my cans are in the crock pot. Again, this was just what I had, right? So you could do, like I did the diced tomatoes, but personally I think like a can of Rotel does really good in this. I just don't have that right now, but I had what was this? Hunt's diced with roasted garlic. That's fine, right? It's alright. But you can add whatever you want. So I just dump those in here. I'll give this a good stir, and then I'm going to go over to the stove, and I'm going to do the onion and the meat on the stove for a little while before we add it over here. Alright, I'll see you at the stove. Alright, butter in our hot skillet, onion going in. I'm just going to saute that butter up a little bit, or the onion up a little bit, and then I'll add the meat in just a second. Diced up hot dogs going in. And again, I'm using this because it's what we've got left over from that 4-H party. So, that's why we're doing this. Alright, some of that hamburger patties chopped up going in. And again, you can use any kind of meat you want with these. I've done this with sausage. I've done it with, you can have like ham. If you've got like leftover cooked ham, that's really good in here. But it's a good way to use up leftover meat like that to have a totally different meal with it. But I'm going to let this cook up a little bit. Let some of these hot dogs get a little bit more color on them. To me, the hot dogs are a lot better when you get them a little more color on them. And then when this is ready, we're going to add it over into the crock pot. Quick, while that meat is cooking, in my crock pot, this was a can of chili beans in there, so there's some seasoning from that chili sauce in there, and then the tomatoes were roasted garlic. But season to with whatever you think is going to taste good. So I'm going to add a little bit of the Redmond's seasoned salt, and then just pepper, just regular old black pepper. But add whatever you want, right? If you don't have, like, if I didn't have these garlic tomatoes, I'm sure I would be adding garlic powder, add some onion powder, add a little bit of Tony's or Everglades or whatever you think is going to be good. Alright, I am satisfied with this, so it's just going to get dumped into that pot. Alright, everything is all in the crock pot now. I'm just going to stir it up really good, and then put the lid on it, and then this is just going to sit on low for a few hours until we're ready to have supper time. So, it's easy. It's another way to use some leftover meat anytime you've got some kind of a leftover meat, and, you know, that's the best tip I've got for you as far as trying to cook on a budget is utilize your leftovers however you can. So, instead of just eating the same meal 3 times in a row, just reheated, make something different with it. So, like, we had the hamburgers and hot dogs from the 4-H party. Now it's going to be, you know, cowboy beans. And there's lots of recipes for cowboy beans. Don't, you know, I'm just using that name. But this is just, you add whatever you want. Like I said, I've done it before with diced up ham from leftover ham. Or, you know, just put regular ground beef in it. Or sausage. Or you can use anything. So, just reutilize the stuff that you've got from another meal, you know. A lot of things are cheaper if you buy in bulk. So if you buy in bulk, sometimes you need to cook it in bulk. But just because you cook it you know, you don't have to make it all in one big thing. You can separate it out, you know, save some back for a different meal, cook some, but then go ahead and freeze it or however you need to do it. So, in a couple hours, I'll take another clip and show you the finished product here. And I'll probably make some biscuits to go with this too. So I'll show you how I make my biscuits because they're really easy. Okay, I started biscuits and forgot to film it, but here is my recipe. But I'm gonna add cheddar cheese to these. These are basically like drop biscuits, so they're kind of like the Red Lobster biscuits, sort of. Not totally, actually. This. Okay. This recipe is a lot closer to the Red Lobster biscuits, but I like these ones better, and these ones are buttermilk. So I'm making these ones, and I'm just adding cheese, okay? I've got all of my dry ingredients already in here, and right now I'm chopping up the butter. So there we go. Okay, I ended up adding an extra half a cup of flour here just to make these bigger biscuits. So I'm going to do another extra half a cup of the milk when I get to it. But I threw in my cubed up butter. And then when you want to cut into butter for your biscuit dough, you can use like a pastry cutter, or you can just take a fork and like mash. But honestly, like today is really cold and it's plenty cold enough in my kitchen. I'm just going to use my hands. And as long as you work quick and you don't start melting the butter, it's fine. So I'm going to do that and then I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah. Well, all right, this is the crumbly texture you're going for. And now we're going to add the buttermilk, all right? Okay, I poured the buttermilk in. This part you gotta work quick, right? Because you don't want to overmix this. So we're just gonna mix it up really good until it's combined, and then I'm gonna add in the cheese, and then we will scoop it out. Okay, correction, we're not gonna do cheese because my cheese smells weird. So it's an old bag. It's still in date. It's still in date, but it smelled funny, so I'm not gonna use it. All right, 400 degree oven. Roughly 20-ish minutes until they're golden brown. That's it. Alright, the biscuits are almost done. But I wanted to open this up and give this a good stir. But this looks good. It smells really good. And it is cold here tonight, so this is going to be super delicious. It's like, I don't know what the temperature is right now. It says it's 40 degrees outside right now. I just looked over the thermostat. But our low today is 27, so it's gonna be cold, but this is good. It's hearty, cheap and easy. You got this. You can cook and it'll be tasty and delicious. Side note, one of Jake's customers gave him this bag today, and it is Texas style jalapeno peanut brittle. I've never had it before, but it is really good. I'm going to have to look up a recipe to how to make this, but it's good. I like it. Okay, biscuits are done. They did 25 minutes. They look good. Cowboy beans are ready. It's basically like a stew. Kind of like a chili. I don't know. It's whatever you want to call it, but it's tasty. Alright, I got my bowl all dished up. Biscuits are hot. They look good. Nice and brown on the bottom, a little brown on the top. It'll be tasty. And I'm just going to dip mine in my bowl. There you go.